What's up YouTubers, and welcome to what's pretty much a prequel video to my anime tier list video. Now in that video I talked about a lot of anime that I've watched throughout the years. Some that I watched when I was young, some I've watched recently, and in between. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people that are watching the video have probably thought, what gives me the right to talk about anime? What background do I have with anime, and what experiences do I even have with the anime industry? With that circling in my head, it gave me the idea to at least look back on what got me into anime and probably talk about it. So within this video, I'm going to be talking about my history with anime, how I got into it, what animes did I started watching with, how did I get into manga, and what other industries did I get into thanks to anime and manga, up to pretty much the present day. I thought this would be a good video and it'll give you guys an idea of what I've gone through with anime and how my likes and dislikes have evolved really. Plus I thought it'd be nice to go down memory lane and share it with you guys. So without further ado, why don't we dive back in time to when I was 6 years old? I think that might be a fun age to start. I remember getting ready for school every day. I'd get up, have breakfast, go up and get changed. And without fail, I would turn on my little black box TV, jump straight into CBBC, CITV, one of those two programs. Yeah, we're talking way back there. I'm pretty sure some of you will remember those channels. And there will always be one of three programs I'll dive straight into watching without fail. Two of them was Super Duper Sumos and the Butt Ugly Martians. Yeah, I had weird taste back there. But one in particular was anime, and I didn't even know it was anime back then. And that was Cubics. I remember watching that when I was 6, coming up 7 before it went off air, and I was enjoying it. It just had that sort of action. It felt really mature, and I just loved the story. Cubics to me is literally and probably the first anime I ever watched. So of course growing up, TV changed over time as well. Cubics went off the air along with Bugly Martians and Super Duper Sumo, so I had to get into other things. And unfortunately I didn't have Sky until I was about 7 at least, coming up to 7. And there I was opening up to a whole lot of programs. I started watching like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Fox Kids, the Disney channels. And believe it or not, looking back on it, I watched a lot of anime. Thanks to having Sky, I got introduced to Pokemon and Digimon. I even got introduced to Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched a lot of obscure things. I watched Rave Master, Shaman King. And there's probably a lot more anime that I didn't even know there. Transformers Robots in Disguise back then, I didn't even know was an anime until recently. And the list goes on with other things I watched back then, but we're mainly focusing on the anime stuff. I'm pretty sure those animes that I listed were the main animes that I've watched. And I didn't even know they were anime, but I really enjoyed them overall because of the storytelling, the art style. I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought I was a weirdo just because I was enjoying it. I remember getting into One Piece, the 4Kids version. And the opening I just loved. Just because, well, can you blame me? It's catchy. I remember being haunted by Brave Master until I refound it last year. I remember this particular scene with the sword that cut things that can't be cut. I remember trying to find it when I got into anime, seeing if it was an anime, and I didn't find it until, well, again, last year. So anyway, we'll just keep going on. This kept going on for quite a while. I kept watching Pokemon, I kept watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Digimon until, well, it went off TV. Same for Shaman King, Raymaster. this kept going on, and I kept watching like a lot of other stuff, mainly non-anime because, well, anime was not really as popular back in the days. Until around the start of secondary school. This is probably like early teen years when I could probably stay up a bit longer. And I remember Jetix. I think that's how it was pronounced back then. It's been a few years since I actually said the word Jetix. And I came across Naruto and Bol, which at the time was my more popular of the two to me. And I just loved the show. Bol is honestly the most weirdest thing ever, and I loved it just because. And Naruto, the action was amazing. Naruto for me is the thing that got me diving into the anime industry. I remember keeping the title saved to a side and then looking up online for Naruto, and I found the entire series and literally binge watched it to hell and back. Sadly, I couldn't do the same for Boba, but we'll get back to that a bit later. So after I got into Naruto, I started looking up on YouTube and I found the word anime, which got me a bit intrigued. Anime? I never heard of that before. So of course I looked up and I found a lot of things that were linked to Naruto through that, and it got me very interested. After that, I stopped literally watching stuff on TV, not as much. I started watching a lot of stuff on the internet. Through Naruto, I managed to rediscover a lot of anime that I never knew were anime just from looking into it. Stuff like Metabots re-popped back up, Ultimate Muscle. I started binge watching anything I could find that I watched that was anime and looked a little bit more about it. I learned that the Ultimate Muscle that was dubbed had a pre-season. Granted, I haven't even watched it yet, but I still found that very interesting. Even Metabots, after it got taken off UK TV broadcasting, I learned there was another season that we probably have never got to see but was released in America. I'm a bit annoyed about that, but I found that very interesting and binge watched that when I found it. I learned that Transformers had a lot of anime, and surprisingly, one of the main industries I fell in love with, Transformers, was part anime. And I learnt about that Yu-Gi-Oh! had episodes subbed, and back then it was like 5Ds. So when I caught up with the dub, I started watching a bit of sub to, well, because I was really interested to see how far ahead it was. Even learning about Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 4. Of course, though, there was a lot more at the time that I really wanted to watch. There was only one problem with that. School. I'm not saying my academic work got in the way, no. It was something far more worse than that. Social life. Back then, anime wasn't as popular, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm getting this right, back at school, if you did anything different, you're literally ostracized for liking something different. I still remember being huge in the card game in school, and a lot of people picked on me, even stealing some cards just because I liked playing card games. It's not as cool as video games. But that's a rant for another time. So I bought my time and I just binge watch whatever I found or refound when I was home. I still remember watching Naruto, getting so into it, and around the time like mid secondary school or near when I was finishing secondary school, it's one or the other, I found Naruto Shippuden was starting to come out on DVD, and I literally wanted to get Volume 1 just so I know I had an anime DVD and wanted to start an anime collection. I'll say I didn't really get to start watching like a lot of the mainstream stuff since college. Mainly because you're in college, a lot of people's not going to judge you. You don't have like the weight of school on you. It just felt a bit more easy, and that's when I started to really open up about and try to watch new and different things. I thought about around that time, since I was going to be a bit more mature, I'll try and at least watch some subbed anime. I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds subbed, good thing too, since a lot of that did not get dubbed, and Zexal was around the time getting released. I think. When I started watching Zexal sub in college was around when Astro and Yuma fused for the second time. That's most I can remember. I remember getting into that, and there was only like a handful of other popular anime I was watching. I really got into. I remember like the two most obscure anime I watched at that time was mainly like High School DxD and Rosalian Vampire, and that was like during the last year of school. I think people can guess why. So I got really interested, and I looked into a couple of anime that was getting released at the time, and I got very interested in quite a few stuff. I got invested in Orange, an anime that's mainly dealing with psychological stuff in a certain way, and I just fell in love with that story. It was getting dubbed at the time, and I just remember getting hooked into it. I remember first watching To Love Ru. Honestly, I thought it was a love story, but then I later learned I was watching the subbed version, and then my eyes opened up when I saw it uncensored. I remember somehow accidentally falling into Keijo, and that still laughs my ass off. But it's not just all high-rated stuff, guys. I remember going to watch Code Geass for the first time. And I just loved the story. Toradora, and I just instantly fell in love with the story, and I just could not stop crying for the end, just because it was just so happy. I even around that time started to go into like anime games. The first one I jumped into was the Ultimate Ninja Storm from Naruto. Yeah, I was still huge into Naruto. This was way before it ended. And of course, when learning about anime, I then learned about anime DVDs. There's a lot of anime that didn't get released on DVD. So not only would I build like a digital collection, I also found like some anime, like third-party anime DVDs, so to say. And I still buy sometimes even now, but mainly for like anime that I know will not get a DVD release or has not been dubbed, which has become a major problem when they later on get dubbed, and I think they don't. And I'm still doing that even now. Around the end of college, I dove straight even to Overlord and ReZero, even Tyrant of Tanya, the Evil, and my favourite of the four, Konosuba. And my surprise, after I've watched all four of them, they got a crossover in Isekai Quartet. I just love that. I still get up to date with High School DxD. I'm chuffed that To Love Ru got dubbed. There's still a lot of anime that I watched that I've even watched way back in the day that still gives me childhood flashbacks. I'm still currently watching One Piece dubbed just because of childhood nostalgia. I'm scared to jump over to the subs just because I'm pretty sure there's about a few hundred episodes difference. I'm still watching Yu-Gi-Oh, but I've jumped to the subs era because I just appreciate the darker storyline. I'm watching Pokemon sub now, and I remember when I changed to watching Pokemon sub, that was around the time in XY when Serena cut her hair. I heard about the public's reaction to that one episode, and I could not wait for it to be dubbed. So I jumped onto watching that subbed, and my god, that is still one of the most heart-wrenching episodes I've ever seen, and I watched the original. Even nowadays, I'm still watching anime. I'm currently watching stuff like Redo the Healer, which is quite shocking to see. I cannot look away. I'm watching season 4 of Attack on Titan. That is still shocking to this day. I remember when I watched the very first episode of season 1. One of my college mates said, "You've got to watch it," and we went up to the college library and I watched the first episode, and I could not stop looking. I was scared if the teachers came by and saw this carnage, but luckily yeah, I fell in love with the end. In media, I've managed to just get my hands on One Piece collection number 8, and I'm currently watching that now. It's going to be part of my collection. And I even picked up The Devil's a Part-Timer. I've only currently seen a few episodes of this. I haven't seen this before, and already I'm loving the anime. I even have Weathering with You in the post coming for me. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm already looking forward to it. A lot of people said if you watched Your Name and The Silent Voice, you're going to love the anime. And guess what? These two are honestly my most favourite anime movies ever. I even watched this subbed just because it's honestly that amazing. I've honestly only scratched a lot of the anime that I've honestly got into and bits and pieces of the story. I could honestly go on. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you are thinking, I've only talked about the anime. What about the manga side? Did you get into manga? Admittedly, I'm not really a big reader. Growing up, I was told reading is good for you. But when I picked up a book, it was honestly just a book. I never got interested in reading, it was just words. Even to this day, I wouldn't really call myself a reader. I mean, I'll read if I have to, because yeah, I've got forms to fill in and all that sort of stuff. But I wouldn't really read a book. I don't really get invested like that. But college kind of changed that for me. A lot of my friends got into like mainstream heroes such as Marvel and DC. And I never really got into all that. I knew about Spider-Man, I watched that series growing up. The original 90s series I'm talking about. And I never really paid that much attention. Maybe because I never really saw the Marvel comic books around. I never really lived near a comic book shop, so that's probably why. But going back in college, I remember they even introduced some like comic books for people who liked comics. And I remember picking up Spider-Man, and yeah, I absolutely fell in love with comic books since then. Maybe because the pictures actually helped me understand what was going on. And a friend who looked over my shoulder saw that I loved Spider-Man and went, "You liked anime, right? Does that mean you also like manga too?" I gave him a weird look like, "What are you talking about? I'm not really a reader." They just laughed and went, "Really? Manga's like this, pictures and all that." So yeah, you can just imagine how excited I felt. So when I got a chance, I went into Waterstones, which is a type of bookstore, and found manga. So I was curious, picked a series that I already knew. I think it was Naruto. Funny, Naruto's introduced me to anime, and now it's introduced me to manga. And he was right. It took me a while to realise I had to read it back to front compared to how English read. Yeah, I got interested. So I bought a couple of mangas and honestly I've not stopped reading them since. My manga collection though, compared to my anime, is not as big, but I still read some manga even now. And here guys are pretty much every manga that I've read so far. I've got literally up to volume 25 of Attack on Titan. I think the manga's almost done. And I literally have not stopped reading Attack on Titan since I got my very first volume, right over here. I've even got High School DxD, and I think the first Naruto manga that I've ever read is literally this one, volume 68, and that's literally just the final battle against Obito. And I just drop it. Over here we've got all the Pokemon, and I usually get like new volume every Christmas or so. I'm up to Fire Red and Leaf Green on the manga, and I'm still currently trying to read through all that. We've got One Piece up here, and I'm trying not to complete that. We've got some Yu-Gi-Ohs down there, some To Love Ru, Your Name, which I bought all three volumes on the go. But honestly guys, throughout this entire manga collection, my prize manga that I've bought and honestly love is this one right here, Platinum End, which I highly recommend to you guys. This manga I literally bought because honestly the cover seemed very interesting, And it's literally a story about like picking the next guard, and it literally turns dark very quickly. And one of the things that again just sold me compared to any other comic or manga that I've seen is that the cover is actually sparkly. If I'm sadly the camera can't pick it up, but you're gonna have to trust me when I say I recommend this. It's made by the same creator who did Death Note, so if you like Death Note, you might like Platinum End. And honestly, this is a manga I highly wish would get an anime adaptation. And there's nothing more for me to really talk about, guys, other than I'm still watching a lot of anime and reading a lot of manga to this very day. I'm even diving into a lot of anime gaming. Well, luckily for us, we're still in a bit of a lockdown situation, so I've spent a lot of time looking into a lot of anime games, and I'm still diving into them to this day. I still love My Heroes One Justice. I played that on the channel, and that's honestly one of my favourite anime games. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, though, is still going to be my favourite anime game of all time. Mainly number 4, because I get to use nearly every character they've introduced into the Naruto world. And there's still a lot of anime that I wish to watch, and honestly, the list is never ending. If I have a quick look on my anime list, a website that helps you keep track of anime and manga you've watched and read and you want to watch, there's about 269 different medias of anime that I want to watch. If I just quickly tap on it and randomly scroll through, Dr. Stone is an anime I haven't watched yet, and I seriously want to watch it. Watch it. Maybe as soon as I complete the current anime I'm watching, which is Hanaski Ino, a very obscure anime. Maybe I'll jump into watching Dr. Stone, or maybe I should dive into it now. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. Do you think I should dive straight into Dr. Stone right away, or do you think I should at least finish the current one I'm watching right now? Honestly, guys, looking back on all of the different stuff that I've gone into thanks to anime and manga, I honestly really loved it. I mean, I can even dive into how, just by watching anime, I got into tokusatsu, mainly Kamen Rider, but I think that's a story for another time if you guys are interested. And honestly, do I love watching anime and manga? Hell yeah! I do not regret getting into the industry at all. I'm happy. I recommend it to anyone who especially wants to watch something different. This is why I introduce a lot of different anime to my brother. The two that he loves to the bottom of his heart that I've introduced to him is Rising of the Shield Hero and Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto. I'm pretty sure he prefers Sakamoto over Rising of the Shield Hero, but we'll see what happens when Season 2 rolls around. I think that's all I have to talk about, guys. I don't think there's anything else for me to talk about with my anime history. So, what about you guys? What was your story with anime? What got you into watching anime and reading manga? Is it the same as me? I just watched a lot of TV, did not know it was anime until further on and got more invested into it? Or did you always knew this was a different category and you just liked it because it was different? Leave your info in the comment section below, and heck, if you liked this video and like my history, why don't you give me a cheeky little like? And if you want to talk about this sort of stuff more often, or if you want me to do another anime tier list as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, why don't you subscribe and let me know? And if you want me to give more some anime recommendations or why I like the industry, hey, let me know again in the comments below. Welcome! So that's it for this video, guys. I'm gonna dive into more anime and probably I'm probably gonna read a bit more of the Fire Red and Leaf Green manga as I mentioned in my manga side. So until next time, guys, this is me signing out. Bye bye.